My name is Razvan Boros. I'm a Romanian interpreter, a registered Romanian interpreter. I'm working in the industry in the UK for a couple of years. I'm cooperating with Bostico in a very nice way for pretty much the same time. And here I am.
Right. And I'm going to ask you a very tricky question, a question that I'm being asked by some interpreters and not by the others. We're passing on a job, we're phoning in and saying, well, we've got this job, it's going to be at court, it's going to be for such and such a time and such a date. And the next question is, what is it about? And we don't always know. And I want to know your opinion, because I want to believe that if you're a good interpreter, you don't necessarily need to ask what it is about, because you know it's court, so it's bound to be one of the few things that's going to happen at court. So if you're not being told what it's about, do you think you can cope?
Definitely. If you can't cope, you can't be an interpreter. And if someone's providing you with information in respect to this, that's a bonus. I find it very helpful, but I think it's just part of the interpreting industry that you need to be ready for anything, really. It's not the vocabulary that's the challenge in the court normally, it's the character of the people, I think. And the situation, I've never struggled with the vocabulary such as, or as in the technical vocabulary, it's the whole vocabulary actually. I find it challenging. So sometimes I can forget, for instance, you know, how to interpret feet or hands, but I never forget the technical vocabulary because those ones have been implemented into me in a robotic way or something like that, probably.
And would you know the difference between bitten and beaten?
Oh yes, definitely.
I'm certainly asking.
But I'm not going to blame that case, because I know where you're coming from. I'm not particularly going to blame that situation. The person that spoke, we were interpreting on behalf of, was speaking with a foreign accent, and in a certain situation when he wanted to pronounce areas, he actually pronounced areas. And I interpreted as departments, whereas it was to do with the delay of the payment. So if the person that speaks is not a native speaker of that language, then I'm not going to blame the person that can't make the difference between bitten and beaten.
Would you blame the person who's interpreted perverting the justice as a pervert?
Oh yes, definitely. That's
so there is definitely a difference.
That's too much.
Okay, just one other thing. What about Crown Court, where you have the judge, you have the witnesses that are going to be testifying for the case, you've got the jury, so on and so forth. What do you think of that?
It's definitely different in the sense that the English, even the English that's being spoken in the Crown Courts is different. It's very British, if I may say so. And I did find it extremely challenging at the beginning. Yet you just get into it. I'm not sure how, but you manage to get into it and get on with it.
What do you think a client expects from an interpreter when they ask for one?
I think there's plenty of clients that might not be aware, for instance, that agencies work with freelancers. So I think they expect those people that are going to interpret for them to represent the image of the agency, although they actually don't really, such as there are freelancers, so they just collaborate with the agency. Yet, in respect to this, for instance, I don't think clients, all the clients, as one might presume, are expecting them to be smart dressed, for instance. I would have thought at the beginning that you need to always wear a suit and everything, but I came across circumstances when I was literally asked not to do so. For instance, when you're working with children, because they can be quite intimidated by this. Or for instance, when you've got some delegates that are taking a training as well as a trip out, and they want to be rather comfortable than office-like.
Do you find it hard to be impartial?
No. I focus the most on being impartial, and it's very satisfying at the end of the assignment if you find yourself that you've delivered 99% impartiality. I don't think there is 100% impartiality. It's impossible. But I came across a situation where I really empathized with the defendant, and because it was a trial and it lasted for more than a week, so it's impossible not to empathize with the group you actually spend most of the time with. And and at the end of the trial, the person has been found not guilty, yet he confirmed after the end of the trial that he is guilty. So ever since, I decided not to believe that I can presume whether that person is guilty or not guilty. No matter what the circumstances you're facing are, there's always more you don't know about.
When you're being sent for interpreting, who do you think is the client? Is it the Romanian person or is it
both? Both.
Thank you. Funny situation.
Funny situation, okay. I think it was the first. I thought about funny situation, and to be honest, most of them were dramatic. But the very first time, I might have told you, when I took my oath as an interpreter in the courts, it was booking through Bostico, and I was extremely nervous for taking the oath for the first time to be sworn.
Do you know it by heart?
Sorry?
Do you know it by heart?
I should know it by heart.
Do tell.
I swear by Almighty God that I will... I swear by Almighty God that I will make true explanation.
I will well and faithfully interpret.
I will well and faithfully interpret and make true explanation of all such matters and things as shall be required of me, according to the best of my skill and understanding. May I please interfere and say that these oaths are actually really different from a court to another.
Yes, it is.
And it's a lot to do with this situation actually, because I knew it by heart, as in I swear by Almighty God that I well and faithfully interpret and make true explanation of. And the very first time I had it in front of me and I was asked to read it, I wasn't expecting for anyone to give me the paper to read it from. And it was, and true explanation make. And that really confused me for the second. And also, which I destroyed the story now, but before I went into the witness box, I caught my finger into the door. And it really hurt, but I couldn't have asked the court to stop everything because my finger hurts. So I was really blushing, and then I had that situation in front of me, and then everything was a bit chaotic in my mind, although it didn't, I hope it didn't look the same from the outside.
Okay, something you hate.
Something I hate. Sometimes it can be really hectic and tiring to change places every single day, or even twice or 3 times a day. You sometimes need to go back, I don't know, to the same job, to the same colleagues. So sometimes I enjoy working with certain companies like Bostico, or with certain solicitors, because it's like going back to my colleagues.